Hello, my name is Axel Sommer, and I'm working for Deutsche Bahn. And today I want to share some experiences and ideas about our project Railway Station Indo Mapping. And I'm very glad if you, any comments or feedback is welcome. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Okay, let's check. Yeah. It's better? Okay. Within the Deutsche Bahn, I'm working for the infrastructure resort, and our world, with a few words described as we offer services with Caller Bike and Flingster. We have a lot of cars and bicycles. We provide the energy for our trains. We maintain and operate the railway network, and this is my point for today, we manage about 5,000 stations. And as you know, you need the station to change the train or to come into the train, to change the platforms, also the stations become more and more marketplaces, and that's also very interesting and is a challenge for us. Okay, so another slide. We opened last month the Mindbox here in Berlin, which is a startup within Deutsche Bahn, and we do their accelerators, challenges, and hackathons. And the next hackathon will be at the 11th December. And what I'm very proud of is that we launched our open data portal last month. I think there are a lot of open data available, and we provide that under a CCB BY license. And there are also a lot of information and data in it among our stations. And what's new in that are the data about our elevators. I come to that point later. What we provide for the hackathon is first time an API where we deliver the online live status of about 100 elevators operating status. Yeah. And okay, so if you're interested, please come and join and have fun with the data. Yeah. So yeah. Imagine, you all know stations are they're very complex buildings, and there are many people in there, and especially for older people, or especially for us, it's sometimes not very easy to find the right way, especially for handicapped people and elder people, or people, young families. It's not easy to find the right way. So we thought about how can we improve the routing or the navigation for our customers. And one of our questions was, how can digitalization help us by doing this? And the first challenge was we searched for data internally, and we found a lot of data. We know everything about our stations. We have a lot of plans, CAD plans, a lot of data in our SAP system, but these are not gathered for this purpose, to do indoor navigation. And this is very difficult because they are gathered in a different context. We cannot merge them, and we cannot really use them. Yeah. So the idea was to look in OSM, which for me was a very new world. I haven't imagined that this exists, and was very happy to see that there are a lot of people out there who map our world, and I was very surprised that there are a lot of information about railway, especially Deutsche Bahn, and stations in there. But the information are mostly about outdoor objects, and in these stations we find only few information there. But we thought that is OSM is a very good tool, or a good way to use this, and we thought, why not do a proof of concept to map more information and to try to navigate with OSM, and so we asked Mr. Wagner if he could help us. We didn't know at that time that there was a lot of a big community outside, but I come to that later. So Mr. Wagner helped us, and please give us some details.
Yeah, thanks very much. We did some experiments. As we know, indoor is a good topic. On the other hand, it's also a bit difficult to capture these things. And we said at the very beginning, also with Professor Möller together, how to do it. And we said we need to do it on floor. We need to do experiments. We need to test. And railway stations are pretty large. So on the one hand side, also just bypassing a railway station is one thing, but data capturing something else. Then I was a bit more optimistic, having more better tools to make it more easier and quicker. On the other hand, it turned around that the capturing itself is not as difficult as expected, but it was later also a time how to transport, convert these captured data from paper later on to the regular OSM basis. So in general, we can say, and this was already lined out from Mr. Sommer, railway stations are mapped already with existing tags. So the current situation at OpenStreetMap is that we have pretty good tags for outside. We have not so good indoor. Indoor is something which is a bit coming, but is also a bit slow. So railway stations on one hand side are, on the one hand, just buildings, you can say, where indoor is missing. On the other hand, we have also railway-specific things, like a platform section. If there's a train coming, a platform section is quite relevant where you are, because trains are quite long. So this is something we needed to introduce new. This is new for stations, and you will not find this in our campus, because we have no, at least I don't know, a platform here. So we took 4 railway stations, Berlin-Ostbahnhof, Berlin-Südkreuz Railway, Dresden Hauptbahnhof, and Berlin-Janowitzbrücke, and we went there, and we started with the ground, more or less with ideas. Of course, we had some preparations earlier. Some of the part was that we started to examine the indoor modeling concepts a bit better. Like Markus Goertz, he was a professor. He was working with Professor Zipf, a colleague from Thomas and us from Heidelberg. He already introduced about 2012 a model which he called indoor OSM. He had 2 relationships, which is a bit difficult to maintain. So this was something where it was taken back and became something like a simple indoor tagging, which is available online, as you know. One lack in this part is about stairs. So stairs is something, or the connection between levels is something quite irrelevant in railway stations, because there are no really alternatives, because trains are quite long, that you always have to pass levels. And levels are some things you need to explain a bit. Another point was about doors. Doors were considered just as a point, so we said points are not good enough also to explain how things. Also doors, by the way, are also quite large doors. Like if you have an opening of a railway station, there are 8 doors, by the way, because it's a front and let's say thousands of people moving it in and out, and so it's already a big, large project, or it's a big, large object. That's just the point. As we said, also like service points, service centers, launches, platform section, these are really new things, so we need to introduce it. We need to take into account that the OGC, that the OSM tools to map of areas are not as good as it might be in different like OGC environments. So we need to be aware on the one hand side also on the data level how we can later on display it. I will show you later on some displays. So it took quite a lot of time, and Andreas Walter was working on this to really figure out how to make it somehow usable also on the display side. And we need also some backwards compatibility, of course. So we want to have also ways to do it on a regular backwards compatibility way, but also we need to introduce new elements in that. The data model itself is documented currently outside the wiki, but we move it into it. You can find also these links where all these kind of tags are collected. And also we set up a preset, as we always do. It's a preset data model which defines a lot of these tags, but also makes it very usable. So, as you know, these presets are defined in XML. You can use them as later on also in the GeoIT, which makes the usage much easier and, let's say, also comfortable. Also a way to spread it around, because there are many railway stations, not just in Berlin or Dresden, but also, of course, worldwide. This was a bit, let's say, the first documentation on this. It's something we have to move still into Wikipedia and to describe a bit, but this is already available. These stairs things is something we've realized we need to go more into detail, because stairs, also stairwells, I have to say, are much larger, and if you zoom down, these are big elements in houses, and also important elements in houses. So this is what we refined much more, and also there are some ideas how to improve this, because it's not just a point of interest, a stair, it's more. So here you first see also some visualization concepts. We introduced also like a map CSS you can use, for instance, within GeoIT. Map CSS is useful within GeoIT, but the visualization is so la. It works. We have also a leaflet you can see later on, which is very high, it's rendering very good, which is, let's say, of course, later on the client side for the most ones. But we developed both of them. We have set up also in the first part, we went and we did not work on the on the OSM services, but we had a single file, so it was a certain way disconnected to do some improvements. But also we started to upload some of these parts, so make it available also outside. On the other hand, also to train it by the Overpass API. By the way, we have also an own instance of Overpass API to reduce the overall load on the Overpass DE one. If you go into the indoor, we need to know that the zoom level of 19, or in France it's about 20, it's not enough. So we need to go a bit closer. On the other hand, something zoom level 21, 23 would be good enough to go also to being able also to add or tag things like a little ticket engine. And there are, by the way, there are very often many ticket engines just next to each other. We started currently with a DB style, because this was an idea also how to see how things can work with the style. Of course, later we can have later a generic style if we would like also to work internationally. That is a different style. So capturing was something where all the ideas, and even I'm promoting very strongly Android systems, I was a bit in a situation that I could not really use it. We really need to join up also to think, to make it, to create new tools for indoor mapping. Not for mapping in a sense, for capturing, and also later on, by the way, the capturing itself is one thing, it's not as difficult, but to capture data and bring it quite quickly to the OSM world. So this process is something which took me maybe 3 times, the capturing itself, 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours to use GeoIT to bring the things inside. And this is something I like to change somehow. It was by intention, when we started this activity quite early, we said we want to take tools which are below 100 euro. So that everybody could expand this idea. So we don't want to have this laser or other things. We want to have something like an Aldi had for 40 euro, or Bosch is another one for 80 euro, this distance measurement things, which are quite good, because on the one hand side you're quick, and also there are parts where you cannot really move. It's like on tracks, if you're being on the platform, you would like to measure the hall, but of course you cannot go, or you should, and it's of course very clear forbidden, to go over the tracks to measure the hall. But with Distos, it's very easy. You got it. We also used the measurement plugin, which was very useful. So this guy who developed that, was really a big thanks to him, because usually in GeoIT we have only coordinates and not like meter measurements. And in our indoor world, meters are what is counting. We did also some extensions, which, you know, like this library, which is also a very good library. We have also some Zoom clustering. We can also show it live. Should I try it live? Yeah. Let's try it. It should work. It works not in Dresden. We will see it, but it works somewhere else. So I think I just set it here, and we take a version. Hopefully it works. So it's all vector graphics, and you see these kind of stairs. This took us really a lot of time to model them. Also, these are just stairs, but it's really important if you want to read a map, because these are important elements. Another thing, if you like to look at this elevator, and if you would like to zoom in, you will recognize that there could be multiple of them, because in this case there are 2 of them. Or especially like many of this kind of ticket engines, there are many of them. So this is something we needed to cluster. It's not completely finalized. Everything has to be refined and made better, and so it's also an idea to welcome in that. This is, by the way, but this is from the file system. So this is Dresden. Dresden is an extreme nice train station. Really, 100 years in Kaiserzeit built, very well organized, an interesting manager there. And we really spent with Professor Möller, we spent about 2 days capturing all the data. I also put, for those of them you would like to see the different pictures on it, it was quite a lot of work really to do it. On the other hand, it's also a nice building, so you really like to show what is possible in that sense. Yeah, coming backward to our presentation. So this is Südkreuz, this is Jannowitzbrücke, also very interesting. If you know Jannowitzbrücke, and if you would like to change from underground U8 to the S-Bahn, you have to take a lot of levels. This is something also a bit interesting. And the second point, I said to Mr. Sommer, there are almost no right angles. So the measurement in Jannowitzbrücke was extremely interesting. It was a bit difficult, but we made it. It's also online. I hope it's still online. This is, for instance, like Ostbahnhof, same thing. And this is what I've shown you already. So this was an experiment. Yes. We are invited to go on. It was a bit work, but there are many stations outside the world, so a lot of work to do. And we have next phase, that's also very interesting.
Yeah, next phase, not as complex. We concentrate, and this time in cooperation with the OpenStreetMap community and the Open Knowledge Foundation, on the elevators. We've got 2,000 of them, and we put them online, the data, the static data, now on the open data portal. And what you see on the right side is we have a lack of information in our data. For example, you see here, we are looking for about 900 elevators who has not a geo-reference, because we need that. We don't need that in our data. We know where the elevator is, but for that purpose, maybe to navigate or to do to know where is the next elevator, it is necessarily to know where the geo-reference is. And therefore, we cooperate, or we try a cooperation with OSM actually, to get that map together and to share this data. And this is also an experiment and well, we see what comes out. Yeah. Okay. So conclusion, and then please ask. Yeah, for us, it was quite successful to see that it's possible to do indoor mapping in OSM, and yeah, I hope this shape, or we can widen it up over all the stations, but we have to discuss this with the community. Secondly, I find OSM has got a very good visualization, because if we want to route or to navigate somebody, especially it's handicapped people or with wheelchairs, yeah, you really need to know where's the entrance, where's the way to the next elevator, where does this elevator go, and where's the exit, and so on. So you need a lot of information to do this, and I think OSM is a great. I'm looking for a word, but it's a great tool for doing that, and yeah, and it's, I think, very helpful also for people to get this information, not only for our customers, but for everyone who needs that information. Yeah, so your works in progress, and the last bullet point is idea question. I have learned that there's a big community outside who has a very a spirit to map everything. I also have become a mapper, and we have also some colleagues who are mapping, but yeah, the intention to map inside, or the yeah, is maybe the community is missing. I don't know. It's not. It's only a question, an idea. Maybe we also have to talk about this. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So, thank you, Axel. Good question at the end. Is there already a community which maps inside? Whoever has mapped inside here in the hall? One, yeah. One is the first for building up a community, and I think, Roland, you too. So you are already two. Maybe we find some more guys interested in this topic. Are there any other questions? Two questions?
Yeah, Tom Pfeiffer. I would like to speak about the community aspect there in OpenStreetMap. And so if we look back in how it developed, so it started with, let's say, real enthusiasts who exactly did what you did in Dresden Hauptbahnhof, going out with pen and paper and taking GPS tracks and mapping it the hard way. With the outcome of the accessibility, of the legal accessibility of satellite images, a second generation of mappers came, which are sometimes called the armchair mappers. So you can sit at home, just trace satellite images. That, of course, improved OpenStreetMap a lot, but it also has the effect that you can only map things that you can see from above. And so you need to reactivate that real enthusiasm to go outdoors, or indoors in this case, to go indoors and really take these things on the ground. The other issue is, if you do it that precisely as you did, you got into the suspicion that you imported official data. And one thing the community learned is when data were opened up, that also these official data from government agencies, from whatever, Berlin, Senat, from Deutsche Bahn, whoever, they have mistakes as well as OSM has mistakes, as well as everything humans produce have mistakes, and things might be outdated. And so it's not a good idea just to import something just because it's official without discussing first and take the best of both worlds, instead of just bringing in one of the old world, I think. Yeah, so that's why it's important to communicate with people. And there was an example, there was somebody got a data set of, what was it, all Aral stations, petrol stations in Germany. And so it was compared with what was in OSM, and it turned out that there were only 5 Aral stations missing, all in Germany. So that import was unnecessary, and it could be used to improve some details. Yeah, but I think it's the same with these things here in railway stations or other things. So if I looked into the Berlin data for whatever the speed zones, max speed 30 kilometers per hour, and it turned out it was just old data. OSM was really better already, and it would not improve. So that was missing in OSM was not in these data anyway. These things have to be considered and have to be discussed. So don't get disappointed if people start discussing and if people have their own opinions and get together and discuss it, and in the end it will improve the world and the maps.
Thank you. Maybe you can support us.
Also, this is exactly the point that we had. On the one hand side, we had internal data. Then the Deutsche Bahn, of course, knows exactly how many elevators they have, because they operate them also online. They know exactly which one they're running or not running. This is also one idea to share. Second point is they were not all known in the coordinate system we use today. It was Gauss-Krüger, a lot of them, because building plans are in Gauss-Krüger. And we really looked also what is available on the one side. We also looked then later on the OpenStreetMap, exactly what you said, what is available there. And we found, by the way, it was a lot of work, but it was also successful work. We found lots of elevators in OSM, but not georeferenced in their data, which is now coming up there about the data fusion things. This is something I learned also very much. We need to we need to learn, we need to talk about very clearly about this fusion ideas and how to fusion or not. And then was later on still, this is the point with this one, where we have this kind of Germany map. These ones are still missing. Exactly what you said. On the one hand side, we have different sources, but about these ones, which were about 200, were still missing. 200 in Germany, what does it mean? 200 stations, no? If you elevators, but at stations. No. So there might be as well 2 or 3 elevators in the station, but these are stations which are where we know that there are elevators, but we don't know where they are in the station. And then we thought about how to start, go to the community, what to do. Is that, well, we do an experiment. We take one Länder ticket, and we start with the train and go from one station to the others and start to collect experience, because we had no idea how long it takes. So I spent my 19 hours day really in the morning, and I really used the Länder ticket completely, and I really made the Ruhrgebiet, and also another colleague here made also Berlin, quite a lot of. Nevertheless, of course, we get experience, we have an understanding now how much work is it or how to do it, but on the other hand, of course, there are still enough here and worldwide anyway. So we have to cooperate in a way. That's why we share these ideas, exactly what you say. We can do it internally, outwardly, and I'm also, maybe some people might be even surprised that now indoors is a topic where you need to have, of course, much more refined data sets. And it looks much different, like if I can show it inside. This is the way of Dresden without attacking. Whatever they've seen, and because there was a change last night in Dresden, this is how it looks like without indoor. By the way, the background map is anyway by Mapbox, so you can see what is rendered or not rendered. It's good for the outside, this point of interest. But for the inside, you need rooms. You need to know where to go. So this is rooms, the corridors are extremely important in the inside. Just a dot, like a point of interest. It's sometimes good that you know things are, but you need to have an understanding how to see it. And that's why, let's say, rooms or corridors and doors are very useful in a way. This gives better understanding of it. By the way, there are still a lot of open questions, so if we would go into the details, but this we don't today, that's why we have another hackathon. When is it? We have 2 events now. Manuel Friedrichs, the next one is 2nd of December, Indoor AG.
No, I don't think so.
Second of
There's another hackathon about smart wearables.
but the hackathon, the Indoor AG.
Indoor AG, not hackathon. Yeah, it is on 9th of December
9?
in the InnoZ, which is located at the EUREF campus here in Berlin-Schöneberg. And we will start at about, I don't have it in mind, I think 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And this will be a short working meeting, about 4 or 5 hours, with some nice catering at the end. We will also have someone from Deutsche Bahn speaking there, and we will have Professor Wolesch from Technical University of Berlin. And yeah, feel free to join. But here I have another question or comment, or this one.
And a few days later, exactly what it said, it's 11th, and I really invite you who are interested in that, go to Deutsche Bahn's third hackathon, December 11th, also in Berlin. So it's worth. So there was another question.
But we have another question.
Hi, so I've done some detailed mapping of stations in OpenStreetMap. So yesterday when we heard from MDV about their project, I thought that was amazing and really exciting. So hearing Deutsche Bahn doing it themselves, working with OpenStreetMap's interesting too. Where I've done the detailed mapping, it's been partially when I've been bored at stations, but open air stations, not indoor ones. The reason for that is I would love these kind of maps for some of the stations in London, for example. But taking a camera and lots of photos, or even more so having one of those laser measurement devices in a big London station, I'm sure in Berlin as well, I'm not too comfortable. You know, I understand it's for good use, but I think I may get stopped and I'm not ready for those questions. So how can the OpenStreetMap community, I see that as the big blocker for us having this detailed data in stations at the moment. So how would you suggest we deal with that?
Do you aware about Birmingham also, about this post just 3 weeks ago something? Was it, I think it was also the British operator also. What was the question? Did you understand?
Yeah. I'm not. Sorry, I'm not sure if the OSM community is a blocker. At this moment, I wouldn't say that. We are in contact, and maybe we find a solution. But you are right. In the big stations, it will. Yeah, maybe we have to go in our invest and do this. Yeah, but the for us it was a great proof of concept that it's fine.
So maybe the answer is for someone like Deutsche Bahn to host mapping parties at the stations, say, right on this day, OpenStreetMap people come. Is that? I think that's something you should maybe look into and could be fun.
Yeah, we also, there's a suggestion from the OpenStreetMap community also to motivate our colleagues to map more, map your station, whatever, Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.